He'd taken to carrying me in the sleeping bag to keep me warmer. I slipped into a deep sleep. When he woke me, I wasn't sure if it had been hours or seconds.
"This is the right place, Kelsey. I found a handprint. Now, should we go through it or turn back? I feel we should turn back and return later."
I reached a gloved hand out and touched his chest. I whispered, feeling the wind gobble up my words and tear them away just as they passed my lips. Fortunately, he heard them. I said, "No, we won't be able find it again. Too hard. Ocean teachers said, prove our faith. It's a test. We must try."
"But Kels..."
"Take me. The handprint." He looked at me with indecision battling in his eyes. Gently, he stretched out his gloved hand and brushed the snowflakes from my cheek. I caught his hand in mine. "Have faith," I whispered into the wind. He sighed deeply, then slid his arms under me and carried me to the wooden post.
"Here it is. On the left of the pole, under the blue fabric."
I saw it and tried to get my glove off. Keyshawn stood me up, supporting all my weight on one arm. He pulled off my glove with the other hand and stuffed it into his pocket. Then he guided my hand into the cold depression carved into the bark of the wooden marker. Now that I was closer, I could see intricate carvings all over the wood that had been partially covered by the snow. If I'd felt better, I would have loved to examine them, but I couldn't even stay upright without Keyshawn. I kept my hand pressed against the wood, but nothing happened. I tried to summon the fire in my belly, the spark that made my hand glow, but I felt deadened. "Keyshawn, I can't. I'm too cold." I felt like crying. He took off his gloves, unzipped his jacket, tore his shirt underneath, and put my frozen hand against his bare chest, covering the back of it with his own warm hand. His chest was hot. He pressed his warm cheek against my cold one and rubbed the back of my hand with his palm for a few minutes. He spoke, but I didn't understand his words. He shifted to protect me from the wind, and I almost fell asleep as he held me in the warm cocoon he'd created. Finally, he pulled back a little and said,
"There. That's better. Now try again."
He helped me angle my hand. I felt a small spark of tingly warmth and urged it to build. The power was slow and lethargic, but it did build until the handprint glowed. The pole shook and began to glow, too. Something happened to my eyes. A green sheen fell across my vision like I'd put on a pair of green-tinted sunglasses. It made the glow from my hand look bright orange, and the orange traveled from one pole across the fabric tail to the other pole. The ground shook, and we were enveloped in a bubble of warmth. Too weak to continue, my hand slipped out, and I fell back against Keyshawn, who scooped me up in his arms again. A little bubble of static formed between the two poles and grew larger. Colors shifted inside the bubble, which were too vague and fuzzy to make out at first, but they grew bigger and started to come into focus. I heard a boom, and the picture snapped into place. I saw green grass and a warm yellow sun. Herds of animals grazed lazily beneath leafy summer trees. Where we stood, I could smell the scent of flowers and feel the sun warm my face. Yet the wintry sleet still fell across my cheek. Keyshawn took a step forward, and another. He carried me into the warm paradise. My head lolled against his arm as I listened to the sound of the storm fade. The cold air grew more distant and then left with a pop. That's when I fainted. Chapter 18. Good Things. I woke near a crackling fire at dawn. Kishan was warming his hands. I shifted and groaned. Hey.
Hey yourself. How do you feel?
I'm feeling better, actually. He grunted.
You started healing as soon as we entered this place.
How long have I been asleep?
About 12 hours. You healed here almost as fast as Ren and I do outside.
I stretched my legs and was relieved. The pain was bad, but an infection was worse. I had been sort of counting on Kishan's amulet to fix me, but it wasn't working like Mr. Kadam had said. Maybe Kishan's piece did something different. I'd gotten lucky. I'm starving. What's for breakfast? I asked.
What would you like?
How about some chocolate chip pancakes with a tall glass of milk?
Sounds good. I'll have the same thing.
Kishan asked the golden fruit to make our meal, and he hunkered down next to me to eat. I was still feeling weak, and when he pulled me closer so I could lean against him, I didn't protest. Instead, I dug happily into my pancakes. So, Kishan, where are we?
Not sure. About a mile past the spirit gate.
You carried me through?
Yes.
He set down his plate and put his arm around me.
I was afraid you would die.
Apparently my coming back from the dead is a common theme in these mythical cities.
I hope this is the last time you come close.
Me too. Thanks. For everything.
You're welcome. By the way, it seems I can maintain human form here like Ren did in Kishkinda.
Really? How does it feel?
Strange. I'm not used to it. I keep waiting for the tiger to take over. I can still become a tiger if I wish, but I don't have to take that form.
The same thing happened to Ren. Well, enjoy it while it lasts. Ren changed back the minute we left Kishkinda. He mumbled something and started going through the backpack. Can you hand me the prophecy in Mr. Kadam's notes? I asked. The first order of business is to find the Umphalis stone, the navel stone, the stone of prophecy. We look into it, and it shows us where to find the tree. It looks like a football standing on end with a hole in the top.
And what does a football look like?
I guess you'd say it's oblong-shaped, but more pointy on the ends. I stood up on shaky legs.
Don't you think you should rest a bit longer?
I feel pretty well rested. Besides, the faster we can find the stone, the sooner we can rescue Ren.
All right, but we'll go slowly. It's pretty warm here. Wouldn't you like to change out of your snow gear first?
I looked down at my ripped pants. Right. Kishan had removed my coat, but I was sweating in my insulated pants. He'd already changed and was now wearing jeans, hiking boots, and a black t-shirt. Don't you get sick of black? He shrugged.
It just feels right.
I'll
scope out the area and see if I can find a trail for us to follow while you change.
He grinned.
And don't worry. I won't be peeking.
You'd better not. He laughed and walked off through the grass toward the tree line. As I changed, I marveled at my torn pants. That bear really did a number on me. I checked my leg and calf. There was no wound, not even a scar. The skin was healthy and pink, as if it had never been damaged. By the time Keyshawn came back, I'd washed using the best thing I could come up with, a pot of warm rose tea courtesy of the Golden Fruit, and a t-shirt. I poured the rest of the rose tea through my hair, brushed it out, and braided it into a long tail that hung down my back. I'd just changed into a long-sleeve t-shirt, jeans, and hiking boots to match Keyshawn when he hollered out a warning and strode into the camp. He looked me up and down with masculine approval and smiled. "What are you grinning at?"
You.